Cloudcast Media.
Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show. We are the nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year, and we are honored to be chatting with some folks about the SDSU School of Music and Dance. We got Luke Little, who's a student in the SDSU Jazz Program, joined by his friend Dylan Soto, also a student in the SDSU Jazz Program. How you doing, Luke and Dylan?
Very good. Thank you for having us.
Very good. Luke,
great.
Doing all right?
I'm great. How are you doing?
We are joined by jazz, alto sax icon, virtuoso, very cool cat, Charles McPherson. He was the guest artist in the Charlie Parker with Strings concert on November 14th at SDSU, and I was just chatting with Charles beforehand. I'm dating myself, but about 50 years ago, I would hear Charles and a lot of his colleagues, Ella Ruth Piggy and Joe Murillo and Butch Lacey and Peter Sprague, playing at a small little venue in the Food Basket parking lot at San Diego State in the mid-'70s. And Charles, you remember that, do you not?
I remember those days. I certainly do.
I think
and those wonderful musicians as well.
Well, listen, we had the blast. Just there was no cover charge. You just walked right in and just got in a comforter, and there was a little fireplace going on, and then you saw the cool jazz of these wonderful folks over here. Let me start with you and Dylan, Luke. Talk a little bit about the jazz program at SDSU. We'll start with you, Dylan.
Sure. Well, the jazz program at San Diego State is something that I've personally been a part of since 2019. It was pointed out to me recently that I think I've been there the longest consecutively out of anyone in the department. I started in undergrad and continued into my master's. I'll be finishing in the spring.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you very much. But since I've been there for a while, there have been some changes over the years. And recently, I think our new director, Dr. Bryan Levy, has come in, and there are a lot of great opportunities that are coming our way, such as this upcoming performance with Charles McPherson. The program's really growing a lot in the time that I've been there. You know, when the pandemic hit, I think it kind of almost shrunk a little bit too. So it's really nice to see it hitting a stride. You know, there's new blood, new ideas, lots of great new opportunities, and it's really awesome to see.
Right. I'm going to ask Luke this question in a few seconds as well. And then, of course, I'm going to absolutely ask it of Charles when we get him back on. When did you get interested in jazz? Were you a teenager? Were you a 5-year-old? Was it right out of the womb?
Oh, man. I think the thing that really caught me was when I was around 12 or 13, and I started picking up the saxophone a little bit in my elementary school. I liked it, but it wasn't until I heard my first saxophone teacher showed me a recording of John Coltrane, My Favorite Things. And that I can't say that at that age I understood exactly how to put words to what I was feeling when I heard it, but it was just something within me opened up. And in retrospect, I recognized that it was just my heart opening when I heard that music. It was the spirit of the music and the spirit of what this music is all about just really connected to me. And I knew in that moment, even though I was young and I didn't have the words for it, I knew that this was going to be my path.
Beautiful. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, so actually around the same age, I think I was probably 12, I started playing the bass. And what initially caught my ear was listening to these bass players like Jocko, or off these Motown records, James Jamerson. And I still love James Jamerson, but I started getting into jazz when I was probably 14. And I think what drew me into that was listening to Giant Steps for the first time and hearing, you know, it's always John Coltrane with me and Dylan, but hearing John Coltrane, you know, just blow over that and that the connection between, his virtuosity, but there's you feel his soul in his music, and that's what really just got me hooked. And I think going forward from there is just listening to John Coltrane every day and listening to these other musicians. I love Charles Mingus's music, and hearing Paul Chambers thumping on the bass, and all of this is just it brought my mind to another world that I have never wanted to leave.
No, I think that's great. And Charles, I'm going to ask you about when you got interested in music. But as Susan Clausen knows, who has done just wonderful things, bringing great guests in our studio, I've been honored to go to, and lucky to go to the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival since 1985. So this will be my 36th visit there. And so music is in my blood. Charles, when did you get interested in music? How old were you?
Well, very much like the young men that just talked, at about 12 or 13. So I started playing trumpet at 12 in the band. And then at 13, I got an alto saxophone, and somebody turned me on to Charlie Parker. And I listened to the Bird. The first time I heard Bird, I think it was Tico Tico. That was the tune. And the minute I heard it, the revelation was pretty much like the young men just talked. I knew immediately that this was something very special. And with Charlie Parker, I wouldn't use these words then because I didn't know these words, but really I was attracted to his logic, his linear logic, the way he could play long phrases, long musical sentences, and connect them up seamlessly with the greatest, just beautiful technique and execution. So I knew immediately something was very special about him. And then I find out there's a whole group of players that play this kind of music, including Train and Miles and Dizzy and Stan Getz and Bud Powell and all these great people. And from that point on, I was hooked. And that was it. I happened to grow up in Detroit in the early 50s, and Barry Harris, great pianist, lived in Detroit. Barry Harris is a mentor to people like Paul Chambers, Doug Watkins, Ron Carter, myself, other great musicians from Detroit. A lot of great musicians, older than I, were still living in Detroit at that point. And I just happened to be in the right neighborhood at the right time to absorb all of that information. And Detroit at that time had some of the greatest musicians in jazz. The house bass player was people like, in a club right down the street from my house was a bass player, was people like Paul Chambers. Elvin Jones was the house drummer. Pepper Adams, baritone sax.
Wow.
Thad Jones, trumpet. Barry Harris on piano. This was a house band in a little club right down the street from my house. So when I discovered jazz and the kind of jazz I was interested in, a club right down the street from me featured that kind of music nightly. And so I was fortunate in hearing that. So that's my early beginnings right there in Detroit.
No, that's true.
And by the way,
yes,
the bass player mentioned James Jamerson. James Jamerson was my first bass player in the band that we had. At that time, we went to the same high school. James Jamerson played upright bass, not electric bass.
Yeah.
He was basically a jazz bass player that when Motown started, he became the in-house bass player with the record company, switched from upright to electric bass, and he is the Charlie Parker of the upright bass, who jump-started the whole concept of how to play that instrument. But essentially, he's a jazz bass player from Detroit.
Stand-up bass. Right, exactly. We're chatting with Charles McPherson, He's a jazz alto sax virtuoso. We're going to be talking to Charles about the Charlie Parker with Strings concert on November 14th. He's joined by Luke Little and Dylan Soto. They are students in the renowned and premier jazz program at SDSU. I'm Drew Schlosberg. As you're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, we are the nation's longest running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union for more than 60 years, doing great things for people living in San Diego County. So, Charles, talk about this concert on November the 14th, Charlie Parker with Strings. I know.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, please.
Yeah, all right. So we are going to be doing some of the studio string charts that Bird did in the 50s. And basically, these are, tunes from the American Songbook, standards of their day, of that day, actually. And, tunes like Out of Nowhere, East of the Sun, Just Friends, and, things, beautiful ballads and standards from the American Songbook. And then there's going to be small group playing as well. Gilbert Cassianos will be there.
Of course.
And he's going to be playing an original composition of mine. So there's going to be small group playing, combo. Of course, Dr. Bryan Levy will be playing in the smaller group as well. And I'm going to be playing with him. But the tunes will be a combination of the Charlie Parker with strings mixed in with some originals and small group playing. And so it should be a really a great evening and of music, and it's just big fun. So I hope a lot of people show up.
Yeah, we're going to promote the heck out of this. Okay. So I'll start with you on this one, Luke, and then Dylan. What is it like working with Charles McPherson, Luke?
I have not worked with Charles McPherson yet,
but you're going to be, are you not?
Yes, I'm very excited about it. I can say that working with musicians similar to him, that it's, in my opinion, the most valuable thing that you can experience as a jazz musician specifically. And when you're just playing and you get to be within the presence of somebody that, is a master themselves, and knowing that they have been around, other older masters, it's like they're really passing down all of the information. And it's like, I guess that's really the extent of it. It's a passing down of, thoughts, of very meticulously crafted ideas, and it's a tradition. I think that's what we're experiencing.
Is it intimidating?
Yes, very intimidating. But once you're playing, it's like you have nothing to worry about.
You're in your own world over there. How about Dylan? What do you think?
I agree completely. I think one thing I appreciate about this art form in general is that I feel like it places an emphasis on the elders and those who came before. My personal feeling is that in our culture, a lot of the times, sometimes the elders are pushed out or viewed as invaluable. But I think jazz places them at the pinnacle of value. And that's been my feeling. That's how I was raised in my family. And so I think that aspect of this music resonates a lot with me. And the opportunities that I've had personally in the past at SDSU to work with amazing guest artists have been, like Luke said, the most valuable experiences I've had. The opportunities I've had in the past with Charles as well, personally, were really incredible. And I think that me and Luke and the rest of the department will just benefit enormously from this opportunity to be able to be in his presence and to soak in everything, and also to hear this amazing music performed as well, and to participate in performing it. Bird with Strings, it doesn't get more special than that recording, just how magical it is. And And so it's something that I'm very much looking forward to.
Yeah, we come back from break. We're going to continue that conversation with Luke Little and Dylan Soto, students in the SDSU Jazz Program, and certainly chat more with Charles McPherson. He is a guest artist in the Charlie Parker with Strings concert on November 14th at SDSU. I'm Drew Schlosberg, and you've been listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. We will be right back.
When you do your banking with Mission Fed, you get great rates on auto and home loans. That's good for you, but something good also happens for a lot of other people. We're not for profit, so we put money back into the community to help lots of great nonprofits to keep San Diego strong. So you're not just getting something good, you're doing something good. Come to Mission Fed. It's banking that's good for all.
Brand amplification is the DNA of Cloudcast Media, and our code is the powerful blending of sound, voice, and storytelling to lift local brands and their communities. Whether it is our Brandcast, Schoolcast, or Causecast platforms, the unifying ethos is all about this community, the one you call home. If you dare to dream and want to explore the brand amplification of Cloudcast, a national leader in local podcasting and other Winfluence strategies, please visit us at cloudcast.us.
I'm Drew Schlosberg of Cloudcast Media. You're listening to another edition of Drew Schlosberg Spotlight on the Community Show, nation's longest-running community podcast. We're now in our 18th year, brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union. For 60 years, been doing great things in San Diego County, supporting food insecurity, musicians, artists, literacy, and you name it. Honored to be chatting with Charles McPherson as a guest artist in the Charlie Parker with Strings concert. Anybody who knows anything about jazz knows what this wonderful icon has meant to the world of music, for that matter. But in San Diego, and me personally, I've got to see Charles about 50 years ago playing music with some just iconic folks when I was a student at San Diego State. And Luke Little and Dylan Soto, who are going to certainly be virtuosos in their own line coming up in history, and they'll be passing it on too. You know, Charles, talk about how important it is to embed the knowledge you've had in your 65 years of playing music to folks like Luke and Dylan.
Well, it's part of the process, and it's a very good thing. The way I learned was from somebody older, more knowledgeable than I, and they were nice enough to pass down the knowledge to me. And Barry Harris was pretty much my mentor. There were other people in Detroit for me, like Pepper Adams and Barry, a lot of people, but Barry most notably for me. He was very willing to pass knowledge on. So it's I think it behooves the older players to do, to pass information, knowledge, and to pass it on. That's a part of how things go. And it's not only in music. The same thing happens with science, literature, technology. It's all part of the whole thing. So, so it's a very important thing to pass the knowledge on, and for the youth to pass it on when they get older and more seasoned. So it's a process, and it's a very necessary one and a good one.
Well, and the process doesn't start, does it, Charles?
Well, it shouldn't, and it usually doesn't, because that really is kind of the trajectory of the way things go, no matter what the discipline. And I'm wondering about jazz and music. It's the same thing. Right. People like and then you got influences. Stravinsky was influenced by Rimsky-Korsakov. So it's all happening. It's in science, it's in art, all arts, including music, of course. and everything else. So it's part of the deal, basically.
Absolutely.
And it should be. It's a natural process.
Yeah, well, you should never stop learning. I don't care how old you are; doesn't make a difference. There's always things you can learn. We're chatting about this wonderful concert, Charlie Parker with Strings. It'll be on November 14th at SDSU's main stage. I encourage you folks to get tickets post haste at music.sdsu.edu. You're going to see some great musicians, icons like Charles McPherson. So I'll start with you on this one, Dylan, and then you can chat about this too, Luke. What are you going to do after you graduate at SDSU? I'll start with you, Dylan.
Well, currently, I'm, as I mentioned earlier,
Right.
I'm about to finish my master's degree.
Congratulations.
And
Yeah.
thank you once again. And I'm trying to determine where I'll land after this, but my current hope is to continue my education. I want to pursue a doctoral program. I just want to take it all the way. To be honest, when I started in undergrad, I didn't expect that would be my path, but I've felt very called to that lately, especially under the mentorship of Dr. Levy. I feel like that's a path that has opened for me. Really, I'm passionate about this music, but I've found that I also have a calling for education, and like you were just talking about, for just passing down this music and keeping it alive, serving as in whatever capacity I can, hopefully one day, as sort of a keeper of the flame to make sure that it just keeps getting passed down. So that's my hope after graduation.
Yeah, I think that's terrific. How about you, Luke?
Yeah, so I think that I love that, and I think I'm very kind of similar in that I also share a deep passion for it, and I love the idea of passing that down to younger generations, and I do want to do that. But for me, after graduation, I want to just continue focusing on playing, and all I want to do is play, and I just want to really ingrain myself in the scene that we have and try to branch out and figure out what kind of music I want to make at some point and pass that on to the listener. And I think that's
It hit me in the face.
You couldn't see this, Luke and Dylan, but we had a couple furry friends that were sitting right literally on Charles's shoulder, for God's sake, over here. I'm not sure if they play any jazz alto sax at all. No, but that's great, Luke. Have you recorded anything at all, Luke? Original stuff?
I have not recorded original stuff yet. I've tried to write a couple of compositions before, but usually I'll just kind of, it'll just kind of hit me one day and then I'll just whisk it away and it'll,
Yeah, I think how about you, Dylan?
With originals?
Yeah.
I have a handful of originals that I'm proud of, but I would like to. It's funny, I was actually just talking about that the other day, of trying to maybe over winter break see about recording some of them.
I got to tell you, for someone, I couldn't play a lick of anything, for God's sake, but I've enjoyed music my whole life. I grew up, my mom played in a little folk group, and I got to be friends, and I still am, with Peter Yarrow of Peter, Paul, and Mary. So I can listen to music 24/7 for the rest of my life and never get tired of it. And that's why I applaud just the unbelievable career of Charles McPherson, and then what you folks will be doing. The joy you bring into folks like me and zillions of others in this world when we need it more than anything. Somehow we lost the DNA of empathy. We need to get that back. Mm-hmm. You musicians, especially you, Charles, bring that back. Music is an equalizer. It's a collaborator and a connector. And Charles, I'm just so forever grateful for you and what Luke and Dylan are doing. Comment on that, Charles, about music.
Well, music is of course art, and art is what it is. It's above. It has nothing to do. First of all, art and just that whole area has nothing to do with time and space. It's not trapped in the three-dimensional reality of planet Earth. It's beyond. It's part of what the reality is, and it's dealing with a human expression of the soul. And music is the Esperanto of the soul. It's the nonverbal communication of the soul, and it's expressing the human condition by way of notes, tones, rhythms, sounds. That's music. So it's a high art, and it's part of, it is art. And it's beyond people. It's bigger than that.
Yes, it is.
And there's really, it is what it is. It should be pure creation from the human mind and spirit, and that's what makes it extremely important. It's one of the noblest things that human beings have come up with is art, as opposed to war, strife, contention, and all of the other human qualities that manifest itself now and even thousands of years ago. Art has always been special and still is. And when there is no more art, or when it has no value, usually that's the end of whatever civilization it is.
Well, there's no
So it's extremely important.
Well, there's no question about it. And as Susan Clausen has heard me endlessly, she's probably sick and tired of me saying this. I spent many years developing curriculum for San Diego Unified, and if Drew ran the world in education, all we would offer in the classroom is VAPA, Visual Performing Arts, because you can teach every single subject under the sun, from physics to math to science to language arts to history to writing to sociology to physiology, all through music, all through art, all through dance in this aspect of it. And when I see that they cut, that's the last subject you should cut in the classroom is art and all that business. Charles, we're going to be ending the interview shortly here. Any final words?
Well, just a quick note. You mentioned Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Yes.
Okay, when I was a very young man, there was a coffee house that I used to play in the afternoons. And at that time, there was a guy named Paul Stokey. Paul
Stokey. Yep, right.
Stokey.
Right.
All right. He happens to be the Paul.
Yep. His name is Noel Stokey, but it goes by Paul.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Okay. Well, when I was there, he was a guy playing in a coffee house, and I'm playing jam sessions, and he's also in the same coffee house playing his set, and this is before he became, who with the group Peter, Paul, and Mary. And so this was happening in the 60s. That's how I met Charlie Mingus at that same coffee house. So 6 degrees of separation.
100% on this. Luke and Dylan, any final comments? Start with you, Luke.
No.
Very good.
Love music.
Very good. That's those two words are very, very good. How about you, Dylan?
I would just say that I've been incredibly grateful for all my opportunities at San Diego State with the jazz department, the university overall, the great mentors. And this opportunity coming up with Charles McPherson is going to be something that I'll be forever grateful for as well.
I encourage everyone.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to meeting everybody. And I also, before it's over, is really give my thanks and to Bryan Levy because he's a beautiful young man. I remember him when he was 17, 18 years old, and so I'm very proud of him, and he's doing a great job at the school.
No, that sounds great. It's November the 14th. I encourage everyone to go. It's SDSU's main stage. Charlie Parker with strings, with the guest artist Charles McPherson, iconic jazz alto sax virtuoso, joined by Luke Little and Dylan Soto of the renowned SDSU Jazz Program. Tickets, music.sdsu.edu. Charles, I am going to be hopeful I can attend that concert and shake your hand after 50 years of seeing you at the Triton by San Diego State. I look a little different, so that's all. That's all there is.
So do I.
not much. You look great now, and you looked great back then. And Charles, thanks so much for joining us. Dylan and Luke, congratulations on what you're doing, and nothing but great success moving forward. And we hope you enjoyed the show.
You've been listening to an episode of Drew Schlosberg's Spotlight on the Community Show, amplifying the voices of social impact organizations, entrepreneurs, local nonprofits, and other community champions who shape the culture, creativity, and connectivity of San Diego community. Brought to you by Mission Fed Credit Union, bringing good things to San Diego for over 60 years. Learn more about what is good for you and good for all by visiting www.missionfed.com.
Cloudcast Media.